Hi everyone, I hope you've had a really good week and maybe you've been back at school which has been set up in your house, or perhaps you've been to preschool. And wherever you've been, I hope you've had a really good week.
Well, we're starting a new theme this week, but actually last week started us off.
Oh yeah, how exciting.
Yeah, and if you remember, we talked about Jesus saying that he was the true vine and that when we get to know Jesus more, we can become more like him. So his nature, those wonderful characteristics will be reflected in us, Sarah.
Oh, I know. Have you ever met somebody that's just so beautiful? Like such a beautiful person, not just because they look really nice, but because they've got these amazing characteristics. They're just kind and gentle.
Yeah, I have. I knew a lady, her name was Nancy, and I would say you could see Jesus in her.
Oh, wow. I really want to be more like that.
I know, me too. Wouldn't the world be a more beautiful place if there were more people like that?
Oh, it would.
Yeah.
It would. And last week we talked about the fruit of the Spirit. And we said that there was a fruit that when you bit into it, it had a flavour. And then when you take another bite, it had a different flavour.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a bit like the fruit of the Spirit. As we get to know Jesus more, and we ask him into our lives and we really draw close to him and we know that he's the most important person in our life, then we start to see these different characteristics coming into our lives and coming out through us.
Yeah. So today, the characteristic that we're going to look at is love. And there are different types of love too.
Oh, are there?
Yeah, there are.
Wow, what are they?
Well, there's philia. This is a brotherly type of love that you have for your friends. I guess we're good friends, so that's the sort of love that we would have.
Yeah.
Then there's storge. This is a type of love that you have for your family, so you for your daughter Taylor, me for my boys, and hopefully our children for us.
Yeah.
So a family love.
No, it's really sad because not everybody experiences that, do they?
I know, that's really sad. Eros, this is a romantic love. We might see this in our mums and dads and boyfriends and girlfriends, Sarah. That's when we see Eros. And then agape. This is a fatherly love of God that he has for his children. That's for you and me. And it's the highest form of love that there can possibly be. And you know what? Jesus tells us to love God above everything else. And then also that we love our neighbours as ourselves.
Wow, that's a really big deal, isn't it?
It is. Well, do you know, there are lots of ways that you can show people that you love them. Should we see what the kids have to say?
Yeah, that'd be great.
How do you show someone you love them?
Hug them. I don't know.
How do you show your friends you love them?
Don't love them.
How do you show me you love?
Just hug.
Okay. Or would you give anyone anything that you love? What about a girlfriend? You love them. Did you give them anything? I need to turn it down.
Not really. Not as a kid, but when I'm older, like go out to like cinema, movies or something.
What about family?
Hug
Just hugs?
them. Yeah.
Show someone you love them.
I say I love you and give them a big huggy.
Okay. Do you give them anything?
A present.
Presents? What else?
Chocolate.
You give them chocolate. Do you do anything for them?
Yes. Help them.
Help them. Help them do what?
Do their thing.
How do you show someone you love them?
By helping them, by caring for them, and by loving them.
Yeah. Do you give them anything?
Peace.
Peace. Anything else?
Kindness.
How do you show mummy you love her?
Wow, that was really interesting. Now, I wonder what our story today will tell us about love.
Oh, yeah, I know. Shall we listen to Lucy and see what she's got to say? Thanks, Lucy.
Today's story is from the Jesus Storybook Bible about the man who didn't have any friends, none. And this is the story of Zacchaeus. You can read it in Luke 19. There was once a man who didn't have any friends, none. Do you have any friends? Well, of course you do, but not Zacchaeus. Poor Zacchaeus didn't have any. You're probably wondering why. Was it because he was so short? That's not a reason not to like someone. Was it because he had a name that was hard to say? Well, neither is that. Even though he was short and he did have a funny name, that wasn't it. No, people didn't like Zacchaeus because he stole their money. Zacchaeus collected taxes. Taxes were what people had to pay the king. But Zacchaeus took more than he was supposed to and kept the extra money for himself and made himself rich. Everyone knew what he was up to and it made them cross and grumpy. They didn't like Zacchaeus one bit. So they made sure he knew it by doing things like avoiding him and walking on the opposite side of the street and pretending not to see him and whispering things like, "There's that nobody who thinks he's a somebody," loud enough so he could hear. Anyway, one day a huge crowd gathered by the road. Jesus was coming to their town and everyone wanted to see him. Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus too, but everyone was too tall. He tried jumping up and down, but that didn't work. He couldn't see a thing. Luckily, Zacchaeus had a good idea. "I'll climb that sycamore tree," he said. So he did. He was surprisingly good at climbing trees for a man who was so unusually short that he had to take a flying leap just to get into his chair in the morning. From the tree, Zacchaeus had the perfect view all the way down the road. Another minute and suddenly Jesus was at the tree. He stopped and looked up. Zacchaeus saw Jesus and Jesus saw Zacchaeus. "Zacchaeus," Jesus said, "I'd like to come over to your house." Zacchaeus almost fell out of the tree. Come over to his house? No one ever wanted to come anywhere near his house, let alone inside it. The people saw this, and needless to say, it made them even crosser and grumpier than usual. They mumbled and murmured and muttered, "Why is Jesus being kind to that sinner? Doesn't Jesus know about him?" Zacchaeus scrambled down and took Jesus to his house. He was in a big hurry because he didn't want Jesus to change his mind. Perhaps Jesus hadn't heard about him. Perhaps Jesus didn't know how he'd been stealing and how no one liked him and how he didn't have any friends. But Jesus knew. He knew all about Zacchaeus and the stealing and everything. And he still loved him. Zacchaeus was ashamed. "Lord," he said, turning pale, "what I've done is wrong, but I now want to do the right thing. I will give the money back to everyone, 4 times what I stole." And that's just what he did. Jesus smiled. "My friend," he said, "today God has rescued you." Jesus loved Zacchaeus when nobody else did. He was Zacchaeus' friend, even when no one else was. Because Jesus was showing people what God's love was like, his wonderful, never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love.
Wow, I'm blown away today by love.
I know,
Yeah.
me too. But I think that one of the most amazing things that I have learned is that Jesus loves us just as we are. But you know what? He loves us so much that he wants us to change into something much more beautiful, like a beautiful fruit. And the more time that I spend with him, the more beautiful I will become.
Wow, that really is like a real true agape love, isn't it?
It is.
And so if I love Jesus more, then it will become easier for me to love others.
It will. That's amazing, isn't it? And I suppose as we think about all that we've learnt about love this morning, and there's ever such a lot to take in,
Yeah.
I wonder if we should sing a song about love.
Oh yeah, that would be wonderful. We can do some dancing, maybe get a bit of exercise in.
Maybe.
Yeah, sounds
Cue
great.
song.
Touching the floor. Whoa! Okay, and then when I count to 3, we're gonna jump up all together as high as you can. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. With all my heart, with all my soul, with all my mind, with all my strength, with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my mind, with all my strength. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will love you, Lord, with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my mind, and with all my strength.
Well, I couldn't get too low in that one, Sarah, could you?
Well, I wasn't too bad.
She's younger than me. Well, we've learnt loads, haven't we? And we've learnt that if we love the Lord with all our heart, then that flavour of love in us will grow, and we'll be able to give that out to our families and friends. And so I'm going to challenge you this week. Why don't you try to show somebody this week that you love them? And we'll do that too, Sarah, shall we?
Yeah, that sounds really good. So until next time,
We'll be praying for you.
Bye.